What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and modern day comedy is a minefield if there ever was one. I mean, certainly comedy is about pushing boundaries, about making people feel uncomfortable. That's why I like dark humor so much. It keeps people honest, so to speak. It makes people ask themselves, hey, just because I don't think something is funny, is it still a joke? Well, the answer is yes, intent matters. If it was intended to be a joke, it's a joke. Just because you don't find it funny, that doesn't declare amongst all other people whether or not it was a joke. And apparently, Australians are pretty angry over a Shane Gillis throwaway joke. Now, I will say this. I know many Australians watch my content, and I know they're not this soft. I have a business partner in Sydney Watson. I know she's not this soft. I have a longtime friend in Bering, so I know he's not this soft. So I don't know who these weak Australians are that are getting triggered by a joke, but let's take a look. Now, Shane Gillis, if you are unaware, obviously is a very popular comedian who had a kind of an interesting start, going from getting a gig on national TV to then all of a sudden being canceled and being saved, because comedy is one of the few spaces that you can still be offensive in. Now, the fact that he wasn't on Saturday Night Live probably makes him far more interesting to me. I have very little interest whatsoever in Saturday Night Live and haven't in 20 years. It used to be funny. Now it's just a propagandic arm for left-wing politics. But this is a funny story. Comedian Shane Gillis leaves Aussies furious with brutal backhanded compliment. A comedian hailing from the United States has been called out by Australians after his bizarre claim that the country is do nothing and has zero exports. Shane Gillis is 35. 35 references Australia in his new stand-up special, Beautiful Dogs, which is currently streaming on Netflix. Now, in a viral clip of the Netflix Jokes social media page promoting the special, the comedian explains why Australia is a good country and what he likes about it. Let's actually take a look at the clip as opposed to me reading it.
No, Australia's good. I was shitting on Australia. Australia might be number 2. That's a good country, dude. Just a whole country doing nothing. That's what I like about them. They're just down there. Zero exports. Creating nothing, dude. They're doing, the only export I've seen come out of Australia is just that YouTube video of that guy punching that kangaroo in the face. Yeah. You know that video? That kangaroo holding that dog hostage out in the woods.
Yeah, everyone's seen that.
Owner shows up, squares up with the kangaroo. No hesitation. Kangaroo knew it was a fight, too.
Yeah, yeah.
Guy just walking. If you've seen the video, you know how good that impression is.
I mean, I couldn't even imagine a more pretty tame joke. Certainly, Americans are the butt of many jokes, some warranted, some unwarranted. But I understand what it feels like, perhaps have a foreigner, trashing your country. Okay, America. What America does is we put these morons on TV, all these Brits that the British people smartly get out of their country, and then we bring them over here, and dumb Americans are like, oh, his voice sounds funny. He must be smart. And then they put him on TV, and then they trash this country, and morons tune into it every night. I don't need to give you a list because it's just about every late night show host or news talking head. Anyway, Australia does, in fact, have many exports. They include iron ore, coal, natural gas, gold, agricultural products like beef and wheat, and minerals such as aluminum and copper. Now, shout out to my Aussies, as I will give it the Aussie pronunciation. It's aluminium. And if you want to say, if I learned this in the remote control car space, a lot of you don't. I actually have a surprise for people that used to watch my hobby grade RC car channel, RC Nightmare. I have like 10 brand new RC cars, and I'm thinking about maybe giving you a couple uploads over there. Although I might just upload it here. But Anyway, I learned a long time ago that Aussies we call them an aluminum chassis in the United States, and you all call them aluminium chassis. Anyway, aluminium foil. Australia has been responsible for many inventions that shaped the modern world, including Wi-Fi, the black box flight recorder, hearing aids, the polymer banknote, and an HPV vaccine. Shout out college kids. Gillis's extremely lighthearted joke sparked fury among patriotic Aussies who blasted the skit on Instagram. One user ranted, "Australia might be number 2. Pretty bold from someone who lives in a country without free ambulance usage, free hospital coverage, 4 weeks of sick leave, and of course the fact that we could send our children to school without fearing that they might be ended." Well, Australia, pretty sure, did everything they could to make sure you all got the jab. So, look, I love my Australian viewers. They're probably my second or third largest group of viewers. And they know how I feel about Aussies. I love you all. Your country, your government sucks. But I think that about my own country. You know, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. Man, those COOF camps. Yikes. Anyway, it goes on. So thankful to be second place to that whole of a country. Some users commented listing several exports, Wi-Fi cervical cancer pokes, inflatable escape slides for airplanes. Yes, we know you can Google. I mean, I don't know when we got this soft, but you know, some people are, you know, they're probably just hyper patriotic. They'd be like the American equivalent of somebody that refuses to believe that the person they voted for in office isn't completely perfect, or that their country hadn't done bad things in the past, right? There's a difference between apologizing for something you had nothing to do with and accepting that, you know, things happened. Simply added, "The most American comment ever. It's not the first time Gillis has caught backlash from his ruthless jokes. The funny man had previously spoken about being destroyed online after Saturday Night Live creator Lorne Michaels terminated him over offensive remarks he made in 2018. He was let go from SNL in 2019 after clips from his 2018 appearance on Matt and the Shane's Secret podcast surfaced only 5 days after the cast announcement. The comedian used phobic slurs on the podcast and referred to Asian people as, well, that's not a good one, directed at people of Asian descent, especially those from China. After those offensive videos and podcast surfaced, Gillis said, "I'm happy to apologize to anyone who's actually offended by anything I said. My intention is never to hurt anyone, but I'm trying to be the best comedian I can, and sometimes that requires risks." I big agree. This is modern comedy. This is something that, you know, you look at in the entire comedic space happens all the time. Now, and it's not just Shane Gillis. You look at back Tim Dillon. Remember Tim Dillon? He's really become popular as a comedian from dropping. You can see this article. Tim Dillon drops brutal truth bombs on woke Hollywood strikers. And Tim Dillon is somebody I've been trying to get on my Friday interview series. I think we're going to be eventually be able to do it. We've had some conversations back and forth. But, you know, he said the comedian uses podcast monologues to play devil's advocate, satirize what's appropriate angle on a given issue, and zing everyone expects him, and zig when everyone expects him to zag. It's not impossible to glean some truth from his podcast. A great example is recently explored dueling Hollywood strikes, the woke Snow White film, and related topics. Hollywood and the machine is going to shrink now. It has to. There's 600 shows. Nobody's watching a lot of them. It's not sustainable, Dillon said about the current strikes and the likely fallout. One reason why? YouTube channels deliver this kind of content consumers crave for less, in many cases for free. Shows like mine cost a lot less to produce than these shows. We have more people watching than a lot of the shows being produced by streamers for millions and millions of dollars. He said long-term, the sustainability of the business model is being called into question. Comic also addressed one of the biggest battles raging in Hollywood. Will AI take over their livelihoods? I mean, of course, it just might, for the reason of too few people are willing to say aloud. Yeah, I mean, true. He segued to a few topics. Hollywood executives, which branch in the public arena, woke. You can't keep ruining everything with this crap. You're hiring people based on race, gender, and not level of talent. I'm not saying you can't find both, he added. If you're going to do this where you remake movies so that the morality tales where people are going to learn less, audience are just going to effing not watch them. They're not going to care. He brought up recent images from live action Snow White, a project that ditched the Seven Dwarves for woke reasons. Do you know who's the new Snow White? Dylan Mulvaney, because nobody learns a lesson, he cracked, alluding to TikTok's impact star on Bud Light. She's coming to a screen near you. I mean, modern day comedy is an interesting thing. I don't think that you can see not true at all. Shane Gillis clearly acknowledged Australia's cool videos starring kangaroos. It is a stretch, but is a good example of kind of the minefield that modern comedy has become, and why it's more important than ever that these comedians have platforms that won't cancel them, given the first tiny bit of faux outrage. So it's an interesting story. I think it's a good way to get a little bit of buzz over his new special. So good for him. That's basically the best way to sell something these days, is having the left get outraged by it. So I didn't even know he had a new special out, and now I'll probably check it out. So look at that, it worked. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you subscribe down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.